this. Did you hear that? Hey, everybody, welcome, welcome. I'm so excited to be here with you. It looks like there's already somebody who's popped on, so let me get that open in my phone so I can see you. Rachel, you're already here. Hi, how's it going, Rachel? Penny, how are you guys doing today? Welcome, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about boundaries. I'm so excited. You know, the year of 2021 for me was all about boundaries. I feel like it started at the end of 2020 and kind of went into 2021. And I learned so much about toxic communication, about manipulation, about boundaries. And so it's kind of been on my heart to share this for a while. And I guess I was just kind of waiting until I felt like there were enough people who said that, yes, I want this. And so I'm really excited to be offering this to you guys right now. Hey, everybody. Hey, look at everybody popping in. This is amazing. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited to share everything that I've been learning about boundaries. And also, too, just this reminder that boundaries are just like any other self-development, self-help. And it's an evolving process. And so I'm going to explain things based on my knowledge, the things that helped me, and just know that even in 5 years from now or 3 years from now, I might have a completely different point of view on them. And I'd love to hear your points of view as well. So feel free to share anything below. Look at everybody popping on. Megan's so excited. Heather's so excited. Welcome, Sunny. Welcome, Desiree. Welcome, everybody. Did I say hi to Amber? If I didn't get you, just know I am seeing you all pop on, and I'm really excited that you guys are here. And so I'm just gonna start off by really saying that boundaries are a form of self-love. I feel like, hi, Sunny. I feel like I used to have this really different opinion of boundaries, and boundaries felt scary. Boundaries felt hard. Boundaries felt like I was about to get rejected. So I'm curious, what do boundaries feel like to you? What is your relationship with boundaries right now? And hopefully by the end of this live, you will see how boundaries are a form of self-love. So yeah, I feel like to me, they were always so scary. I was definitely raised to be a people pleaser. And so I was raised to kind of give of myself without asking. I was raised to sacrifice myself for the people around me. I was not taught to look out for my best interests. And really, boundaries are a form of self-love. Boundaries are a way for us to protect our self-interest, our energy, to make sure that we're pouring into us. I'm so sorry. I keep getting these multiple calls. Okay, we've got some comments popping in now. Boundaries mean crossing the line. Ooh, yeah, almost like there's a rule that's been crossed, right? Boundaries make me feel like I'm disappointing somebody when I tell them no. Boundaries make me feel like I'm a doormat. People pleaser right here. Yeah, yeah, totally, totally. And a lot of us were taught to be people pleasers, right? I know I was taught that I wasn't allowed to have boundaries in my own household. So obviously, when I started building my own family, I didn't understand boundaries then as well. I've been working on setting healthier boundaries. It's hard though, because I don't want to hurt others. Yes, this is huge. Boundaries can be scary. Boundaries usually have felt rigid and received with backlash. Yes, yes. Okay, yeah, so there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of rejection in boundaries. And so what I'd like to do is just kind of talk about boundaries. And what I'd love for you to walk away with is a different relationship with boundaries. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I've created a presentation. So it'll take me just a minute to make sure that it's showing up for you guys. Hi, Tracy. Hi, everybody. Okay, it is working. It is okay. So let's go ahead and get started, guys. We're going to be covering all sorts of things. It's actually above. I didn't write down my outline because I'm just going to kind of go with the presentation. But let's get started, guys. Okay. So the first things I wanted to talk about is what boundaries are and what boundaries are not, because I feel like for me, I had a very different idea of what boundaries were for. I thought boundaries were for controlling my environment, for example. I thought boundaries were for kind of like some people said, were to hurt people. And so let's talk a little bit about what are boundaries for. First and foremost, taking back your power, which is your rights and your responsibility over your life. This is a big deal. And this is when I was really exploring personal power. And this is the reason why our Facebook group is called Love, Magic, and Personal Power, is because before I had boundaries, I didn't have personal power over my life. I couldn't control what was going on in my life. I felt like I was at the whimsy of other people, of situations. But once I learned boundaries, I was able to then take back my power and my rights over my own body, responsibility for my life and body. So another thing that boundaries are for is restoring or maintaining inner peace. Boundaries are great for when you notice in your body and you're like, I did not like that. I did not like that situation. I did not like how that went. I did not like the feelings that I had when I was talking to so-and-so about politics. Whatever that may be, I didn't feel at peace. I felt pretty yucky. Or maybe I did this task for somebody and it didn't feel in alignment and I really didn't like that. So then we can take and we can use that knowledge and we can use this background and say, okay, well, in the future, when this sort of situation happens next time, what boundaries do I need to have in place to maintain my inner peace so that this doesn't happen again? Another thing boundaries are for is for choosing yourself, a form of self-love. One thing that I really tuned into too is that nobody else is going to put my self-interests at the top. So I have to make sure that I am taken care of. I have to make sure that my needs and wants in this world are being met. And so when I choose myself and I put myself at the top and I put boundaries around everything else, then I'm able to feel overflowing so that then I can give from that place instead of from a place of obligation or a place of lack. And we're going to be talking a lot about that coming forward too. We've also got maintaining healthy and loving relationships. I really had this feeling around boundaries that boundaries created rifts in relationships, but really setting a boundary teaches someone how to help you feel loved, how to help you feel resourced, fulfilled, all of that self-love. If you actually put a boundary in a relationship, this is actually indicating, hey, I want to keep you in my life and I want us to work together. I want our relationship to feel good. So really, having boundaries will help us maintain healthy and loving relationships. And last but not least, I remember when I was studying toxic and manipulative patterns, and there is a guy on TikTok, and I forget his name now, but he kept saying, set boundaries early and often. This is how we can identify unhealthy manipulative people. And I have a whole slide that only says healthy people respect boundaries, and it's the truth. Healthy people respect boundaries. So when you put up a boundary, whether it's little or big, and somebody is not respecting that boundary, it means that they are not healthy in relationships. And that's the same for us. I went through a big period of time where I didn't accept other people's boundaries either. I was an unhealthy person in relationships at that time. So we can start to identify toxic or manipulative people when we set boundaries. Okay. What are boundaries not for? What are boundaries not for? Hi, Leslie. I love the different view of boundaries. Yeah, boundaries are hard for an empath, totally. So what boundaries are not for? I think for me, a lot of what I thought boundaries was about was controlling other people's behavior. So I think that if you walk away with nothing else today, this is the number one thing I want you to understand. Boundaries are not to control other people's behavior, even their behavior towards you. Okay. And another thing that I just kind of wanted to touch on is boundaries are not to enable you to stay in toxic relationships. Oh, I need to slow down. Desiree's mind is exploding. Okay. I think a lot of people start to learn about boundaries and they're like, okay, I could make this toxic relationship with somebody okay if I just have boundaries. And the truth of the matter is no amount of boundaries will truly make a toxic relationship okay. Now, good boundaries means that you are going to limit your time within those relationships, but it will not enable you to stay in those toxic relationships full time on a regular basis, because no matter what, those relationships just tear you down, and that is having bad boundaries, right? Yeah, okay, so yes, if you take away nothing else, this is a writer downer. That's what they used to say in coaching school. You might want to write this one down. Boundaries are not to control others' behavior. Okay, so this was the game changer for me. Right here, these 4 personal rights and responsibilities. So we've got our behavior and our actions. We've got our decisions, our thoughts, and our feelings. And so the reason why I put personal rights and responsibilities is, first and foremost, we have the right to behave however we want. We have the right to think whatever we want, make whatever decisions we want, and have whatever feelings we have, right? We have that right, and we are responsible for our own behaviors, decisions, thoughts, and feelings. So not only are these our responsibility, but they are also our rights. And so I love thinking of these as rights, because then we think, oh, I have the right to behave however I want, and so do you. I have the right to feel however I feel, and so do you. I have the right to my own decisions, and so do you, right? This is where that not controlling other people comes in. Not only do we have these rights, but other people have those rights and responsibilities. Okay, so knowing this is a good thing to write down too, guys. If you want me to pause for just a second while you write these 4 things down. I feel like knowing these and understanding these changed the game for me, because I thought that my actions, when they dictate other people's feelings, could be bad, right? But another person is responsible for their feelings. I'm only responsible for my feelings. I'm responsible for my behavior. So if I kick somebody, then yeah, that's pretty crappy, right? But if I say no to going to a picnic, I'm responsible for my behavior and actions. If somebody feels bad about that, they're responsible for their feelings, right? Okay, let's keep going. Okay, so I created these next 2 slides to give us some scenarios for when we are not honoring these personal rights and responsibilities. So here's some examples of letting others control the things that you're responsible for. These are some examples of not taking back your rights to these 4 things. So are you doing things because other people want you to, not because you want to? This means someone else is taking responsibility over your actions. Are you feeling obligated to do something even though you never made an agreement to do it? This can look like somebody saying like, hey, you know, I did this for you and I can't believe you're not doing this for me. And by the way, all of these are reversibles. You may notice that you have controlling behaviors. I think that people, okay, let me rephrase that. When I didn't have good boundaries, I had controlling behaviors because I didn't understand boundaries. I didn't understand even control, to be honest. Okay, so if you see some of these and if you feel like, oh man, I do that, just greet that with curiosity, not with judgment, guys. We all go through our own journey with this. We all have our own toxic behaviors that we have to notice and then move away from. Okay, but are you letting others control the things that you're responsible for? Next up is deciding that someone's behavior made you feel a certain way. How many of you guys have done this? I think we've all done this. Somebody says something and you know, you start getting upset and you start crying because they said something to you or they did something to you. But the thing of it is if you really get in touch with that, it was your own insecurity that made you feel that way. I can call you any name, and if you don't believe that thing, you're not going to cry. You're not going to feel bad. It's only when you have an insecurity in that area that you feel that way. So totally, you're making yourself feel that way based off of, you know, somebody's behavior. So it's really important to take responsibility for those feelings. Unless or until you can take responsibility for your feelings, you cannot allow others to then take responsibility for their feelings. So you'll end up feeling like other people are responsible for your feelings and you are also responsible for others' feelings. Yes, I used to struggle so much with the first one. Totally, absolutely. I've done all of these for sure. Yes. Next up is blaming the decisions you make on others. Yeah, I have to go to this event because, you know, so-and-so's making me. Yeah, exactly, Sunny. Exactly. So really noticing these things, noticing when these are coming up for you, and just understanding, hey, I'm giving my power away. I am holding other people responsible for things that I'm responsible for. Make sense? Yeah, they're making me. I hear it all the time. Oh yeah, they're making me. You made me do that, or you made me feel like this. Yes. So moving forward, we're really noticing when we're letting others control the things that we're responsible for. And I guarantee if you are letting others control the things you're responsible for, you are trying to control the things that other people are responsible for. This is the next page. Let's do it. Are you trying to control things you aren't responsible for? So expecting someone to return a favor without it being agreed upon. That's like saying, I've done so much for them. Why can't they be nice to me? Right? Obligation is a huge part of the toxic pattern that makes boundaries hard. Obligations. Where are you obligating people to do something? Telling people what their actions, feelings, decisions should be. Trying to take responsibility for those things, right? Attempting to get an emotional reaction out of someone. Like being mean. Yes, yes. I feel like we've all done all of these things, right? Especially when we have boundary issues, we're probably struggling with one or all of these things. Last but not least, trying to decide for others or control their actions in any way, even when we think we know what's best for them. Trying to decide for others or control their actions in any way. Yeah, Sunny. Sunny said, because I'm nice and it's not reciprocated. So this is this feeling that like, I am being nice to you, so you have to be nice to me. But you are taking responsibility for their actions. You're saying, just because I've done this, you have to do it back. But if you don't have an agreed upon situation where the person's like, okay, every time you're nice to me, I'm going to be nice to you, you're just manipulating the situation. You are trying to be nice to get nice, right? Mm-hmm. Any questions yet? I know we're kind of speeding right along, so I want to make sure to give a little space for questions on these current slides. We also do have a Q&A section. Megan says that's something I've done, trying to get an emotional response. Yes. If I'm not feeling listened to, sometimes I'll lash out with things I know will upset someone. Absolutely, Sunny. And you have to take responsibility for your actions and say, I didn't have to do that. I didn't have to be nice. I didn't have to do those things. Was I doing those things to get something nice back? Yeah. I feel like people pleasers always get taken advantage of, don't they, guys? I always felt taken advantage of when I was a people pleaser. Whether or not others are doing it on purpose, I'm not sure, but I always felt that way because I was doing things to get a benefit from it. Even as a people pleaser, I was people pleasing for love, affection, attention, so that I wouldn't be rejected. I was still trying to get something out of it. I wasn't being nice to be nice. Now that I have good boundaries, when I do something nice, it's because I choose to do something nice. Okay. Are we ready to continue, guys? Next up, what do boundaries sound like? Boundaries are between you and you. We think of boundaries as something that happen between me and you, me and you. Boundaries are only between you and you. Okay, so that could be like another one of those mind exploding things. Boundaries are between you and you. You do not need to include others in your boundaries. You do not need to tell others about your boundaries. If you choose to include other people in your boundaries, that is a way to maintain healthy relationships, and it shows a love and a desire to continue that relationship, but it is not necessary. Okay, let's go into some examples, guys. When I think about boundaries now, I recognize that I can only control me. I am only responsible for me, and I only have the rights to my own feelings, decisions, etc. So where a lot of people would probably say, don't yell at me anymore, or else this, right? You don't need to do that because that's telling someone what they can and can't do. They're just going to give you the bird. They're just going to do what they're going to do, right? So instead, a really good format for a boundary is when blank happens, I will do blank. We're only concentrating on what we are going to do, what I am going to do when this thing happens. So a really good example of this is the first one. If Jane yells at me again, I will leave the room. So a real life example of this for me is I had a woman who who I knew, who was verbally abusive to me in a parking lot, who was texting me verbally abusive things, and we were family. And so I didn't want to just, completely, I wanted to continue to have a relationship with this person, even though they had been verbally abusive to me. And so I said to this person, if you are verbally abusive or if you text me abusive things again, I will block you on my phone. So I said, when you do this, or if you do this, I will do this. It's not, hey, don't do that. It's just a decision of what am I willing to do for myself in order to maintain my peace, in order to choose myself and to choose self-love, right? I will no longer be doing things that don't feel in alignment to me. That's a boundary. I'm going to brush my teeth every night. That's a boundary, right? It's okay for others to be angry or get emotional. No is a complete sentence. So when somebody asks for you to do something, you can say no. It's a complete sentence, no. It's not my job to fix others. Other people's behavior is not my responsibility. How people feel is not my responsibility. It is not my job to make it is my job to make myself happy. What is an example of a boundary that you would like to use? Boundaries can be boundaries for physical boundaries, for time boundaries, for space boundaries. They can be boundaries for how you allow people to treat you. They can be boundaries for how you will treat yourself. I will talk kindly about myself. When I don't, I'll go stand in the mirror and do my mirror work. When I don't speak kindly about myself, I will spend extra time on self-care. Megan says, it's okay for others to be angry is huge for me because I always felt like it's my job to fix that. Yeah. Yep, it's always okay for others. The hardest part in boundaries, I think, is to let people have whatever emotions they have about your boundary. You have to let them have whatever emotion they have, and it's their responsibility to deal with that emotion. It's not yours. Yeah, I have to realize that boundaries are healthy and not a bad negative thing. Exactly. I'm a nurturer, and so I try to nurture others when they're hurting, and I get hurt in the end. Here's the thing, Sunny, you can still nurture without expectation. You can still nurture in ways that feel supportive to you without sacrificing yourself. So we can still be nurturers. We can still be empaths while understanding that boundary, that border between us and other people. When people speak to me disrespectfully, I will no longer engage in that conversation. Exactly. This is it. This is it, Megan. Exactly. When Uncle Jimmy starts talking about politics, I'm going to leave the room. Right? I have to realize that people being mad at me for saying no is not my fault. Yep, exactly. I think that this is one of the hugest blocks between us and setting boundaries. I will only do things if I truly want to. Yes, 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 yes. Anybody else want to share a boundary before we continue on? We're almost done though, guys. We're powering through it pretty quick. I will set healthy boundaries in a new way. Yes. And for some of us, one of our boundaries might be, I will respect others' boundaries. I know for me, there was definitely a long time when I was not respecting others' boundaries. My boundaries with my family is that when you criticize, use extensive sarcasm, or make fun of me, I will leave. Yes, Sunny, that's perfect. Perfect. Okay, let's keep on moving, guys. I will not take responsibility for other people's behavior. Heck, yes, 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 Sid. Okay, so here's the thing about boundaries, guys. Boundaries require you to get clear on your desires and goals. What do you want? What feels good? What doesn't feel good? Your feelings in situations, your insecurities, and your attachments. Setting boundaries will bring up insecurities and attachments. We get really afraid someone's going to reject us, but a person that doesn't respect your boundaries is not a healthy person. Codependency issues. Setting boundaries will bring up codependency issues if you have any. Controlling patterns, which, by the way, is a codependency issue, but I wanted to specify it by itself for people who don't know much about codependency. So setting boundaries will require you to grow in all of these areas. They will help you grow in all of these areas. You will not get this right from the beginning. So give yourself time and space to practice these skills, guys. It is a skill. It's a skill that you need to practice. It's a skill that you'll get better at. It's something that's going to feel really weird and off when you first start. You're going to be gauging other people's reaction. You're going to be nervous. You might, like have sweaty palms. All of that, right? You may have literally scared feelings in your body, and that's okay. It's part of it. The thing of it is anytime we expand, we go through some growing pains. When we energetically expand, and when we are working through the things that are on the screen right now, when we're working through our insecurities, when we're working through our attachments, codependency issues, we have growing pains. And so if you feel that, just know that it's normal. Think of it like working out a muscle at the gym. You're going to start small, and then eventually you're going to feel like, oh, I can't even remember the days when boundaries were a big deal, because they just come so naturally now. Last night when grounding, future me told present me that it's okay not to get new skills right the first time. I love that, Megan. It is okay not to get it right the first time. Okay, so now I just wanted to make a whole slide about this because it's so important. Healthy people respect boundaries. Healthy people respect boundaries. There were times that I had to chant this as a mantra in my head. As I was setting a boundary, healthy people respect boundaries. But also remembering, when we're only controlling our part, we don't have to worry about other people and whether or not they're going to respect it, because we already know what we're going to do if they don't, right? We already know what we're going to do if they don't respect our boundaries. Okay, now we are on the final part of this live. I am having so much fun. Now we have 2 questions. These were 2 questions that were left in the grouped. But if you have an additional question, just let me know. Let's kind of talk about the questions that were left. Heather says, I need to make this a mantra for myself until it feels more normal to me. Yes, 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 yes. I might tattoo that on my palm. I love it, Desiree. Yes. It helped me through those hard boundaries, those people who didn't respect my boundaries, the people that got mad at me for having them. Realizing that they were not healthy was really helpful for me as I was becoming healthy and learning how to respect other boundaries. I think sometimes we lose our personal power and self-autonomy and emotional intelligence. Boundaries, yeah, when boundaries are weak, yeah. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, especially when we're around anybody that's toxic, because then we end up taking on so much of it energetically. Okay, so question number 1, I'm having a harder time implementing boundaries because I tend to be an extremist. How can I remove my emotions from my boundaries? How can I remove the attachment? So first and foremost, I want to say that I'm pretty extremist in my boundaries as well. And I feel like we have to very much understand what is right for us and then assert those boundaries. And like I said, we don't have to include other people. So I am not sure exactly from this comment from Stephanie, but I think the reason why Stephanie wants to remove emotions is because Stephanie doesn't want to feel bad for asserting boundaries in the face of people who have feelings about her boundaries. And I don't think she's here right now, but she can always let us know in the comments when she does watch this. And I think that to remove that attachment is to recognize and understand the personal responsibilities. Once we realize that we are not responsible for others' feelings about our boundary, we're no longer attached to how they react. We know that that's their thing, that's their stuff, that's over there, that's theirs, that's not mine. I think that that is how I was able to remove my attachment from their reaction. And I think that also coming at boundaries from what I'm willing to do if my boundary is breached, fixed everything too about, you know, I don't need people to act in a certain way for me to have boundaries. I just need to act in a certain way myself to have good boundaries. Oh, I love that, Sunny. Yes. Totally, Sunny. Okay, moving on to the second question. Feel free to add any questions that you guys have. I have a hard time saying no to people when they want or need something, even if I'm drained or busy. How can I still be helpful but not always say yes to them? I love this question because first and foremost, my first question to Heather would be, why do you have a hard time saying no? Do you feel obligated to do the thing? Do you feel like you're going to lose love from them? Why are you saying no? So I think first and foremost is like really asking myself, why am I having a hard time saying no? And then next, I personally love to help people. I love how I feel when I help people. I love how they feel when I help people. And so sometimes I am drained and busy, but I do want to help them still. Maybe I'm not saying no because I don't want to help, but maybe I am only just busy or drained. So in that case, what I like to do is offer an alternative. For example, I can't drive you to the store right now, but I can drive you at 2 p.m. if that works for you. Or I can't help you with this thing today, but I can help you on Saturday if that works for you. So we come up with an alternative that does work for us if that is a task that you want to do. Yes, the responsibilities we have if our boundaries are breached. Absolutely, Megan. Penny says, I learned today that I need to respect other boundaries better. Yeah, totally. Once we learn to respect boundaries of others, we then have that energy that we're exuding where other people are going to respect ours. I love to help because it's rewarding for both them and me. Perfect. Yes. Alternative ways of helping, you know, and also you could definitely, like, I kind of talked about alternative times when you're busy or drained, but you could also help in a different way. Like, for example, I had a friend reach out to me once and they asked if I could help them with a resume. And I said, you know what? I am swamped. I am working like 60 hours a week. I just can't help you, but I know that you don't have a job right now. So I would love to gift you a session with a fellow coach who works with people who are looking for a job and works with people on their resumes. And so I gifted them a coaching session with a person that I knew, so that they could work on their resume. So I helped them in a way that was not maybe even something that they had expected. So just getting creative when you want to help and you know that it's not within your bandwidth to do it. Right. I love this point that Sunny brought up too. So this was the end. So I am going to stop sharing so I can talk to you guys face to face. I love what Sunny just said too. I do say no. However, I give a complete explanation of why I've said no. We're so worried about people rejecting our no, or not approving of our no, or having feelings around our no, that sometimes we can get into this habit of over-explaining, of trying to justify that no. But when we know that we have a right to say no, we know that we don't have to justify it. It's within my right to do whatever I want with my body, whether that's doing the dishes for you or reading a book for me. I have the right to decide what I'm going to do with my body. I like that, Sunny. Yeah, I like that. Giving options, I think, can be really great if you do want to help, and not, oh, what happened? If you do want to help and not overextend yourself. Does anybody else have any other questions? Once I learned how to figure out what boundaries are, one of the things that I struggled with at the beginning, we'll kind of talk about that while you guys think about any questions you might have. One of the things that I really struggled with is how to do the boundary. Like in the example of the abusive person who was saying abusive things to me over text, I just sat and I thought about it. And I'm like, what do I want? Well, I'm not willing to put up with abusive language, that's for sure, right? So getting clear on what you want is the first part. And then after that, okay, what am I going to do if that isn't respected? What is my part there? What am I willing to do? And since the abuse was happening over the phone, I was like, I'll block them. That's the thing that I have to control, what comes through my phone. So it took me a long time, 5-10 minutes to sit. Like that was my only task. I was sitting thinking about that boundary for 5 or 10 minutes. So give yourself time and space for these too. When you notice this emotion coming up, when you notice something happening that you're like, no, this is not okay for me, give yourself some time to think about it. You don't have to respond in the moment. And like I said, you don't even have to tell anybody else. I didn't even have to tell that family member that if they said abusive things to me, I was going to block them. I did that so that they would know, but I didn't have to. I could have just waited until the next time and then blocked them. Boundaries are between you and you. I've learned so much here. I do think you've said this will take a lot of work and time. It will, yes. And you can feel free to rewatch this anytime. It'll be here in the group and on my YouTube. To get these healthy boundaries set and work on, but it will be so worth it, 100% worth every single moment of it. And it will help you grow in other areas of your life. Boundaries require for us to grow. Penny, you're so welcome. You're so welcome, Penny. Heather, I'm so glad we're all learning this together and can lean on each other through this process. Yes, feel free to share your aha moments with this. Feel free to share them in the group. Feel free to share like when you had a problem with it, when you had troubles with it. Absolutely. One of the reasons why I love this community is that we are vulnerable and open and safe to share with each other. Okay, any more questions, guys? You guys are like, we got so much information. We've got to digest and process this. Awesome. If you guys would just want to drop one takeaway before we leave, before we close out for today, one takeaway that you had as we close things up. You guys have done amazing and you guys showed up for yourself. You guys watched this all the way through. You guys were willing to look at things in a different way and expand your mind. So celebrate yourselves. My takeaway is that boundaries are between me and me. Yes, yes, yes. You're so welcome, Tracy. I will respect others' boundaries in a new way. Yes. I don't have to explain myself, and healthy people respect boundaries. They do. Reminder by reiterating what I know, feel, and believe. Yes, honey. You're so welcome, Leslie. Been working on this for 2 years, not 100% there, but it's so liberating and freeing. Yes, it is. No is a complete sentence. Uh-huh. You're so welcome, guys. My takeaway is that healthy people respect boundaries and that my boundaries are between me and me. Yes. I choose my boundaries. I love it, guys. All right, everybody. Thanks for being here. If you watched the replay all the way through, give us a little wave. Let us know you were here. And don't forget to check out the membership if you haven't already. The membership is amazing. And we go deep into all sorts of self-development. So right now it's Cancer season. We're working on self-love, but I'm sure boundaries are bound to come up again. We work on like one main topic every single month, and we just really expand into the next version of ourselves. It's called the Cosmic Expansion Membership, and it's all about letting go of what doesn't serve you and expanding into what does. You're welcome, guys. I will see you guys soon. You're so welcome. Bye, everybody.